What's happening, boys? We all good?
Nice to see you back.
That's the one positive of the week.
Well, I don't know if it's going to be a positive or not. I don't know if it's if it is good to be back or if I want to be back in the Philippines eating spaghetti, whatever. Anything seems to be more positive than talking about Hearts. But we'll front up and we'll give it a go.
Here we go.
Every 18 months, how do we end up back here? Well, I know how we end up back here and we'll talk about it now, but I thought we were past all of this stuff. I genuinely did. So we'll talk about where we currently are. We are 2 weeks before the end of the year. We got 2 league games left now before the end of the year as well. Three. We are rock bottom of the league. For what I'll have the stats. I've asked the stat guys to dig them out. I've never known Hearts to be in and around the bottom of the league as much as we have been in the last 10 years. We'll wait and see. I've asked to pull some stats to the chairman to see how many times Hearts have been bottom of the league, but it feels like a ridiculous amount of times for a club of our size. We'll talk about that. Talk about what's led us to there. We've just been beaten by 10-man Kilmarnock on Sunday with what was quite simply the worst performance of the season. We'll look back on Copenhagen, lost away in Europe. Again, we'll give our thoughts now, but I wasn't spitting mad at getting beat off what is essentially a Champions League team playing in the Johnston Paint Trophy Europe. Make it have some perspective there. And then we'll just look at the future, where we're at, where the team's at, where Critchley's at, where the club's at, where the fan base is at, what the next steps are. Is there any positives? Do we see any light at the end of the tunnel for it changing? So loads and loads of cheery stuff that we can talk about. Sound good?
Excellent.
These are the podcasts that actually, give us our name of being miserable bastards, but there you go.
You were away for a week and we were quite positive about the whole vote coming through that might allow Tony Blumen, the Jamestown being announced, and there you go.
I seen your tweet, Tam, as well after the Copenhagen game, so I'll apologise and remind everybody that I don't do the social media for the podcast anymore. So if you think that the tweets have become gimpy and happy clapping, you'll know why, because it's no me that does it. It's Mr. Thomas.
It's a distinct lack of tweets as well. You used to comment on absolutely everything, so hence giving up.
Well, that is your job, but you are supposed to do that too. But if that's what you're going to tweet about, we're not doing it. Anyway, what's been happening, Tam? We all good?
Aye, all right. Absolutely sound. No real changes for me.
Well, your team's flying in the championship, innit? So you'll be buzzing.
Aye, yeah. I might just change. That's probably easier at this point. Get used to the championship ahead of next year.
You've done another season next year in the championship. You enjoy that league anyway. Kev, what's been happening?
Not a great deal, mate. Not a great deal. Of course, I've seen you in Bruges, and then you disappeared to the land of little people, and Spaghetti had.
Spaghetti had. I don't know what it is. I don't know why the Philippines are spaghetti daft, but I can confirm that they absolutely are. It's insane the amount of spaghetti that they eat over there. It's unreal.
Well, but other than that, nothing really been happening. Just been miserable, really, for the past 3 weeks. That's got nothing to do with the fact that you weren't in the country.
Well, that's what Hearts do to you, mate. That's what Hearts do to you. Right. Where do you want to start?
Suppose tell us your thoughts in the last sort of since we last heard your solo pod. What's been the thoughts of the AGMs and stuff like that?
I told you Corbett's having a mental breakdown pods. Those ones. Yeah.
I see Joe Sked's copied your format, so.
Aye, I can. I know. I said that to him earlier. I was like, he turned into me, mate. Rambling in a room by yourself and absolutely furious. Like, I should have copyrighted it and been like, this is a Liam Corbett. This is my story podcast production. You know, to do it. Uh, the AGMs are what they are. The club one, disappointing. These are opportunities for us to ask some hard-hitting questions, and I don't think the club are pressed enough at these events. I've said that even when we're doing well. I don't think that they were used well enough to actually put some pressure on the board to give us some answers. Uh, and then the FOH AGM after it is, I think, the FOH are at a fork in the road. Uh, what, 8,600 pledgers, 1,300 people voted, less than 20% voter turnout, 40 folk or something at the Foundation of Hearts AGM versus 300 at the club's one. We've listened to all the campaigns. We listened to the last election. We had all the candidates on and listened to their pitch. We had all the candidates on this time and listened to their pitch, and they all have the exact same pitch, but yet never been able to deliver anything on it. They all discuss the severe and utter lack of communication and can do nothing to do it. Even the communications that we've had now, like the total farce of the tribute kit, still not here, not going to be here till at least the middle of January, probably later. And they sent the comms out and replied all like a drunk da at the Christmas party and gave everybody's email address, which is amateur hour stuff. So I I don't know if it makes any better. We've elected two current Foundation of Hearts employees and a club employee, and that's nothing against either of the three of them. I think that they're all strong candidates in and themselves. It's just what can it change? Because no one's been able to change anything, and I don't see any of the three being the ones to stick their head up and air the dirty laundry in public. And like I said, I think they're at a crossroads, right? Because the fan base have a perception of what they think the FOH can do, and it's completely and utterly different to what the FOH are actually able to do. Uh, the Foundation of Hearts have no power or say in the running of the club. You know, I think that's been evident for a long time. The tribute kit is a perfect example to show all of the flaws in the current system. From my knowledge of what's happened from speaking to people at the Foundation of Hearts, the foundation submitted 6 designs or 5 designs to the club because the club had to sign off what design they wanted to be put out, and the club signed off the shanner of a top that we've seen, which is essentially, I said to you in the group chat, Tam, it's a plain white t-shirt that you get your pals to sign at the end of high school.
You didn't
That's
say
how
it to me. You used me
that's
as
how
an
bad.
example.
I did use you as an example. I also called you a gimp, and, but that's exactly what it is. It's a plain white t-shirt with some people's names on it, and that wasn't the design that the FOH wanted, is what I've been told. Then the club signed off the photo campaign, the very uh, successful stick it on a coat hanger and take a picture of it photo campaign for the Shannon top. If, for example, the FOH wanted to advertise on the big screens, we are the owners of the football club, right? If we wanted to advertise on the concourse, you would think it would be a case of just sticking it up, getting a design and sticking it up. They have to ask the club for permission to do that, and the club won't give them permission to advertise inside the stadium because the stadium space is the club's and it generates money for the club. So I don't think the fans totally understand what the FOH does, and that'll probably be down to a mixture of the fact that we don't hear anything from the Foundation of Hearts, nothing at all. I think someone actually made a very good point on Kickback earlier about the Foundation of Hearts have monthly meetings. Where are the where are the notes? How difficult would that be to have someone take notes as to what was discussed? The Federation of Hearts, for example, they publish all of that stuff all the time. My role within the Ultras or whatever, we signed up to make sure that the Ultras were part of the Federation of Hearts because they are the supporters clubs. They represented us right up until the foundation showed up. In every single meeting, they'll tell you who attended and they'll give you the minutes of the meeting as to what was discussed. I don't see how that is a difficult thing to achieve from the FOH. Again, at the AGM, both of them, none of them highlighted anything about where our money goes. What was the like, for example, if could any Hearts fan tell you what was the last pound of FOH money given to the club? What was it spent on? Did we have a choice on what it was spent on? Is it just chucked into a pot to cover the growing costs, player costs, staff costs? Does it go to pay for the repairs in the hotel? Does it go purely to the ladies' team? Does it go straight into the academy? Does it pay Barry Mackay to sit on the bench? Like, what does it do? We don't know. We have absolutely no idea because no one tells us. We don't have a say on how it goes. And I think my honest opinion now, and it might just be doom and gloom because Hearts are doing terrible and we've found ourselves back where we are. But the vehicle for the Foundation of Hearts was to save the football club. That mission has been accomplished. The club is no longer staring down the barrel of the abyss of us going out of business. The upsurge of people that pledged to begin with done it because we were in that save our hearts protest, clubs going down the tubes, we've got to act mindset, and everybody pledged and signed up. From that initial outburst, with the membership's never grown. In fact, now it's dwindling year on year. Let's not forget that the current campaign for the FOH is to change the branding from that you're a pledger to you are an owner of a football club. And that campaign, changing those two words, was to take us to 16,000 members. Well, we're dwindled from 9,000, we're now at 8,600, and that will only continue to dwindle. One of the working groups that we went to when we signed the Ultras up to being part of the club and helping with Big Hearts and helping with the Foundation of Hearts was to go to the workshops on how to engage with the next generation of Hearts fans. I think the numbers, they said that between the ages of 18 and 25, there was currently 9 active pledgers, 9 people between the ages of 18 and 25. So we're at a crossroads for the Foundation of Hearts for me. I don't think the people that have joined the board are going to change anything drastically. I don't see them being agitators. I don't see them going in and causing noise. I think we'll get much for muchness as to where we're at, and it's that thing where David, does anybody even care? Like genuinely, like as a fan base, where are we at now? Like I spoke to Joel Sked, Rob Borthwick, who were at the AGMs, and that's what they say about the Foundation of Hearts. I think Joel Sked has said no one gives a fuck about the Foundation of Hearts anymore. Like the turnout, the voting, no one cares. We've done what it was set up to do. Now we're not. There is no noise in the background about the club potentially going bust. So people are just, I don't know, is apathy the right word? Is that what people are towards it? Do you know what I mean? It's like it's something that was there, it was nice, it was something we could boast about. We played our part, we saved our club, but now it feels like the club have moved on. The fan base have kind of moved on. It's there, but they're not going to get the next generation of folk. And actually, as time goes on and people pass away, the numbers are just going to continue to dwindle. And I genuinely don't know what the answer is. I don't know how we change it. I don't know if even airing the dirty laundry would do anything other than just confirm what we already knew, which is that the Foundation Act didn't really have a say. The club supersedes everything that they want and need. And the foundation was a nice thing to have. It's a nice community gesture to bring in new investors or whatever. But actually, we'll still run the club. Fan owned, not fan run, as they so condescendingly say every single time you talk to them. Kev.
You were talking earlier on about understanding where the money goes, right? We do talk about, pledgers and that number diminishing. Do you think, I know perfectly well that, within some of the clubs in Germany, some of the clubs in Spain, a lot of times that their fans who put money in, they have automatically said that will go to actual player funding. If the club, or sorry, if the foundation was to come out and say, look, this is what we're doing with the money, being a lot more transparent on that side of things, and with it saying this is the money we give to the club and it is for X, do you think that would change people's opinion and view of, actually I would increase my pledge, or I would start pledging again, or actually, I'm now 18, I've got my job, I've got an own job, I want to put money in, even if it is only a tenner? Or do you think it's now got to a point where actually those people who are pledging are just putting the money in and they'll continue to do so for whatever length of time that it's in place, and we will get to a point in 19 whatever it may be in which people just go, right, that's it, there's no money left, there's no need for a foundation?
I think it's a whole host of things, Kev. I think that the ticker tape that's rolling on the foundation website says that the fans have handed over £18 million since the inception of the Foundation of Hearts. The Foundation of Hearts don't have any plans to employ anybody full time. So it's a multi-million-pound business run by bowling club volunteers. That has to change. There has to change. There has to be some clear strategies that aren't. Aye, but what would your dad say in the tiny arms? Does he say pledger, or would he say I'm the owner of a football club, or would he change his Twitter bio or his Facebook handle to say I own a football club, and would he hand out a card that says I'm an owner? The answer to that's going to get us nowhere. It's going to get us absolutely nowhere. I've told you 1,000 times before about, I worked for Levi's for long enough, and their big conundrum that they had to solve for years and years and years was, how did you stop dads that were cool in the 70s and 80s that are now fat and middle-aged in the 20s for wearing 501s? Because when they walk down the stairs in 501s, their sons or their daughters, or whatever you want to call it, look at them and then go, Dad, you look cool as anything, where did you get your 501s? They go, fuck, I'll never wear Levi's again because my dad's wearing it. And that's where we're at with the Foundation of Hearts. All this, I'm an owner, I own a football club. How many people can say that? No one cares. The only people that say that are the people that I've spoken about before. They're the Say Dad crew on Kickback and on Facebook that have a fucking Hearts fire pit and have converted their shed into a bar. That is, you know what I mean? It's them guys. They're the only people that will ever say that. Not a single person under the age of 40 will ever go about telling their pals that they own a football club, because we don't, right? So you're right. Increased where our money goes, an increased voice, maybe a presence, maybe, maybe that's what will get the next generation of people to buy in. If you think, well, we've lost 8 games on the bounce, I want something to happen. We want a new manager or whatever it is. I don't know if that's what engages people, or if they feel that their voice is heard, and that's why for years and years, because their voice hasn't been heard and we haven't heard from the people that are supposed to represent us about, you know, the Foundation of Hearts Day, right? Against Dundee United. That was the day that the Foundation of Hearts signpost in the season to say, this is what we're going to do. This is a day that's going to be all about the Foundation of Hearts. How do we increase pledges? How do we get people? How do we make money? Blah, blah, blah. And Hearts, the football club, allocated the Foundation of Hearts zero budget. They gave them nothing, no money whatsoever. I had priced up and told them that we could do a full stadium tifo with QR codes and sign up bits on the back of it, like we did for the Big Hearts Charity Day, for probably less than £3,000. And they said, we can't do it, we're not getting any budget. And you think, well, wait a minute, we own the football club, so we've got no budget for that, but yet we signed off building a hotel that none of us were asked, are you all right with doing that? That was just, it's happening, by the way. And also my brother's building the hotel. Like, cool. Was there any other builders on the table? Was there any other quotes? Was there any other people that could have done it? No, went straight to the person that overspent and under-delivered on the main stand, gets to deliver the hotel. I don't know if having a bigger voice fixes it, but I think someone has to go in and tell the fans publicly, what the relationship is with the Foundation of Hearts. What did it? They don't have a say from the outside looking in anything. It's the club that supersedes everything. So if the foundation wanted to do something, they need the permission of the club. If they wanted to put an advert up on the big screen at halftime, they need the permission of the club. If they want the digital advertising boards to say sign up to the Foundation of Hearts, they need the permission for the club to say they're allowed to do it. When you interview Jerry Mallon, you have to ask the club, is it all right if we get a room in the Tynecastle? And if they say no, you have to interview Jerry Mallon in the hotel lobby because there's no rooms, and he's the chairman of the 75% owners of the football club. So something isn't right, and it needs addressed. It needs addressed. I don't know if Claire, Gary, and Jerry are the people that are going to break the camel's back, and suddenly we're going to get nothing but information. We're right now bottom of the league, and there's no communication whatsoever about where we currently are performing as a club. There was only communication around the tribute top because we're now a month and a half over delivery date as to when it's supposed to be there, and people are going into the club shop now complaining that they don't have the top, so they had to do something. And like I said, the one comms they sent everybody's personal information and personal email drives to every single person that bought a Foundation of Hearts top. So amateur hour. So that's where we're at. Club AGM was a club AGM. Like I said before, no one asks any hard hitting questions. No one questions where
Question
we're
about
at.
that though, do you think it's not? I think it's probably quite censored as well.
Well,
It
yeah,
goes
for
to
the
the
questions that they ask, for the people that send their questions in via proxy, yes. But on the day, you can ask whatever you want.
cool. I didn't realise that, to be fair.
You
Aye.
can ask whatever you want. But again, it's the people that show up to these things. The guys in the pubs and clubs and supporters buses. Who can get away at 11 o'clock on a Thursday or 11 o'clock on a Wednesday for a job to go to a club AGM? You know, it's strategic for the people that can show up to these things. And when you see the audience for Anne Park to lecture us on how many females there are in the ultras and how they would get a bigger section and the rope and pulley system if there was more ladies in the ultras, there wasn't a fucking lady in sight in the AGM. You know, where's the diversity in the AGM? Do you know what I mean? It's the same 300 men that show up. There is ladies there, but it's a tiny minority of where we're at. But again, who can go to an AGM at 11 o'clock on a Wednesday morning? So, aye, it was the same last year too. It was the same last year. The mood music at the club was poor, and no one really asked anything. I think Chris in the community chat it was the only one that I seen that had anywhere near a hard hitting question when he asked about how much it cost to sign off the pre-season warm weather training camp. Why did the club allow us to have such a poor pre-season? They can't just say, oh well, it's what the manager wanted, so that's what we done. There has to be some accountability to be like, well, did you not ask to see the plans? Did you not ask to see the schedules? Did you not ask to see, well, we're spending this amount of money to go here. What are we getting in return for it? Because now we are reaping the rewards of how poor pre-season was. And again, I don't want to tell you I told you so. Pre-season matters. People that listen to this podcast or post on Kickback, please take it from me when I tell you that pre-season is the most important part of a season because it sets you up for the manager's instructions, it sets you up for fitness, it sets you up for everything. You have a bad pre-season, you have a bad season, and we are living proof of that as we speak right this very second.
Yeah, I should
So
probably apologise to you about that for fucking 4
that's
months.
fine, Tan. You always make the same mistake, don't you? You always make the same mistake.
Got the trust carpet. Is that what you're trying to tell me? Shit.
Right. So that's where we're at with aim. Don't know if we missed anything else since I've been away, other than the football. Again, we are now, I don't know if we call it an injury crisis, but Frankie Kent is out for the season. Stephen Kingsley is out for the season. Callum Neuenhoff is still recovering from a knock that he picked up against Celtic in March. He's not going to be back this year. Benny Beningame again is on the treatment table and missing football matches because he can't play more than one game a week. Something's got to change there. Something has to change there.
Goes
I don't
back to
know.
your what you just said about planning in pre-season.
It
Clearly
goes,
not recruited in the right positions in the summer as well.
yeah. I think it goes back to more than that. And to be honest with you, I think it's probably one of the reasons why they've went and appointed Graham Jones as the sporting director. I think that was his background,
Yep.
was sort of elite sportsman and conditioning and all that stuff. If Jamestown and Tony Bloom are to be successful at Hearts, the players have to be fit. They have to, because it's the only way people will invest in money that play in our league is having them play consistent. It's why Brighton spent the money on Matt O'Reilly. It's because he played every single game for Celtic and contributed in every single game for Celtic. It's why Aaron Hickey managed to garner a transfer fee for us. It's because he played and he played every week and he performed every single week. That's how Jamestown will be successful at Hearts, is if players are fit. And right now, whether it be the Orium, whether it be the training regime, whether it be diet, whatever it is, we are back to constantly having muscle tears, muscle ruptures, and I didn't want to get all geeky, but you know he's there on that top. I have been around football players, conditioning, all that stuff for the past 16 years, watched it at a professional level, and I can tell you that light sessions, training sessions where you're not at full capacity and you're not pushed to full capacity at training, and then you're asked to go put that load on your body on a match day, that's what gets muscle tears. It's what gets ruptures. It gets all that stuff because your body can't cope with the constant highs and lows and up and downs of not being anywhere near capacity and load to then suddenly being you have to be at full capacity and full load for 90 minutes or whatever it may be. That's where you get ruptures. It's where you get tears. So the training has to be looked at. The training absolutely needs to be redesigned, redeveloped, or whatever it is, because not only are we not getting players fit, we're not getting them anywhere near their potential either. Again, like I don't know if it's in the community chat or if I've seen it on Kickback, but it's something that if anybody's even stands next to me at a game will know it's something I've moaned about for years is why is the fitness coach at halftime doing rondos with the players? What you watch our halftime warm up and tell me that you didn't see better at a amateur Sunday game. The professional football players kicking the ball, but I think we said it on the post Celtic podcast when the linesman went off with a hamstring. Celtic got balls out and started passing the ball about and running about, and we stood at the centre circle. If you could have had fags, they'd have stood smoking fags and talking about whatever. They were literally could not give a shit about staying sharp. Celtic passed the ball about, and it's the same at halftime with us. We do a rondo, do a couple of switch the ball long to each other, and then go back in. And then we wonder why players don't look up to speed when they come on, why players take so long to adapt and settle into teams. So hopefully that's what Graham Jones can sort. But in the short term, you're now relying on Craig Halkett staying fit,
Yep,
which we all know that's
not going to
not going
happen.
to happen. Or you're looking at playing right backs at centre half, left backs at centre half, all
What
this
we've seen for the
stuff.
last 5 years.
Yep, everything that we've seen in the last 5 years. And again, Kev, I go back to things where what's the point in the academy if there isn't a centre half there that's maybe not ready to play every single game, but he can't even come in and cover on the bench, or he can't come on and start and be taken off. When you're now looking at, do we move Penrice, who's been our best player playing left back? Do we move him in one and play him centre half? Do we play a right back and Oyehoke that is struggling at right back. If we're being honest, do we ask him to come in and play centre half? Like, what do we do? Surely, the whole point of an academy is that you've got people there ready to jump in.
Well, you would think that would be the case, but it's clearly not been. And we've spoke about it a number of times. You know that what is actually being produced out of the academy doesn't seem to be at the level that we require and we need. Um, I don't know if it's something that can be done or not, but the only option or only thing I can see directly is Nielsen, who is currently playing at St Johnstone. Can you pull him back in January, or is it a full season long loan? Is it available for review? I meant to go and check about it, but I've been busy. So these are the kind of things though that you're 100 you're 100% right that, and this is again comes back to Graham Jones, who we've not really heard much of via the media. I don't even think there's been anything actually on their own website or in regards to an interview with them. So I think there's I hope that he's just working quietly in the background, assessing the situation, and then come what will be 15 days time, we will start to hear of things in which she's been working on, because this window is going to be pretty damn important in all honesty, or we're going to be in a position where we were 4 years ago.
Right. Discussed injuries. I think the only other thing that I don't know if you spoke about or that's happened since I've been away is we appointed Shelley Kerr to a
We
role at the
didn't.
football
We
club,
didn't.
to be the first football club to appoint a female in that position, looking after the male football talent line coming through. Another vanity
Question for you.
project if you're a cynic, or
Well,
a step in the right direction if you're not, depending on what side of the road you sit in. What was your takes on that?
could somebody give me the job description, please?
So it's something to do with talent transformation
Just
or something like that, innit?
so like made up position, more or less. Is that what you're saying?
Was it advertised? Who applied for it? Who did we interview? What made her the standout candidate? Like, all that stuff. It's nothing against her. She could be absolutely unbelievable at what she does, but I never knew we were looking for that role. Never seen it publicly advertised anywhere. Who were the people that she was up against that went for it? Uh, just another thing that it feels like to me, Kev, when she was videoed hammered at the World Cup, slagging all the players and all that sort of stuff. Alicia Walker is my cousin, played professional ladies football for Scotland, Glasgow City, Celtic. Never heard her say a single good word about Shelley Kerr other than that she's a bit of a joke figure in the game, and now she's got a senior role at Hearts. Something that I know we laughed and joked about Liam Fox getting a job and stuff. Everybody's joked in the background to say that, Shelley Kerr, or wouldn't be surprised if she was given the first team job or whatever, given our affinity of vanity projects, and here she is now with the Hearts role.
Um, I agree with what is the actual job objectives? What is, where was this advertised? It came out of the blue. I think a few people had sort of effectively chucked out that this was being discussed or this was being spoken about, but only a matter of like 12, 20 hours, 24 hours before it actually was announced. It's a very strange one in my opinion. I can understand where those particular cynics are in regards to the way in which we operate. But again, goes back to someone we spoke about 20 minutes ago or whatever. It's communication between the club and the fans. It's very, very. I'm not going to say it's cloak and dagger kind of stuff, but it does come across as being very strange in its actual positioning within. Given that we were very clear that regards to new positions within the company, because that's what it is at the end of the day, or the business, we're all going to go through an analytics. But a funny feeling that her name did not come out of any analytics.
I think her name came across the corridor, our new sporting director, but I feel like it has history, but that's
Well, and that's fine. That's fair enough. If that was his appointment and that's who he wants, and he thinks that she's the right thing, then fair enough. And again, I've said this 1,000 times before. that we should be at a point now, 10 years down the line, for where we started to where we are now with this regime. We should be at a point where we're going, who the fuck is that guy? Like, we shouldn't know who the talent transformation manager is, or who the sporting director is, or who the vice captain CEO with the bowling club purse strings is. You shouldn't know any of that stuff. The only reason that you know this stuff is because we're failing to achieve our potential. That's when all this stuff starts coming out. It's when you start looking at every other person that's at the business and saying, what does that guy do? What does this person do? Look at Man United. During the Alex Ferguson years, Robert Gill, probably, maybe the only person I could tell you that had anything to do with Man United in their boardroom. Couldn't tell you who was the chairman when Arsene Wenger was there at Arsenal during their heyday. We obviously know who Sheikh Mansour and that are that own Man City, but that's because of who they are and their affiliation uh, that they have with the club and their sort of their standing in society. That's the only reason we know who these people are. You shouldn't know like who the ins and outs of every single person in the boardroom. The only reason that you do know is because the mood music at a football club is toxic or isn't where it needs to be. So I know we laughed and joked about there, but it's Shelley Kerr. If she's the right person for the job, then she's the right person for the job. I couldn't give two shits whether she was a man or a woman. It's whether or not she's qualified for the job and the right person for the job. And if Graham Jones has identified her as the right person because he's worked with her before and he feels she has the qualifications, and fair play. But again,
Tell us.
but also, how do we measure it? What's the measure of success? What does that look like? Do you know what I mean? What's the 6 month timeline? What's the 12 month, 18 month, 24 month? When does this start to pay off? What will it look like when it does start to pay off? What are we looking for? Can I get somebody that's getting a wage at the club? Staff costs at the AGM are rising and rising and rising, and no one seems to talk about the fact that staff costs are astronomical. Here's another person that will be getting a salary. So again, what does success look like in that space? But again, if that can help bridge the gap as to what we are talking about earlier, with the academy and youth players being ready to come through and join the first team, then brilliant. That's what we need. That's the whole point in Jamestown, is to unearth gems. Then the responsibility of the club is to bring through gems as well, so that there's a constant conveyor belt of people that could be sold for decent money. So we need the academy to be fruitful. And if she helps us do that, then fair enough. Fair play.
It's an
Right.
interesting one you say there, Corbett. There's rumour going about that there's a couple of teams interested in Rowles. If we're in a situation as we are at the moment with no defensive centre halves, or Halkett is really the only one out with Rowles, and we cannot sell him.
Well,
Unless we can find unless you find a replacement. But then you've got a replacement coming in that may or may not be at the same level. These are the kind of things that you've got to look at as well. And that comes back to what we were saying earlier on about preparing for, the season ahead. That happens throughout the period of April, May into June, where you would hope to see signatures coming in. But again, we called this out 6 weeks ago. Savage had done his job and done his business back in January, but then nobody came in to replace until Graham Jones came in November.
to be honest with you, Kev, we're at a point now where actually we just spoke about it before we started recording about how the last low really was the run that we went on under Robbie that's ultimately seen him be sacked. If you look at that season and look at the team and look at this season now, Gordon, Halkett, Kingsley, Devlin, Rowles, Benny, Mackay, Boyce, they're all still here. They're all still here. So we know that these guys, this is what they do. They're inconsistent players. It's why they play for us. They'll have a peak and we need to sell them at their peak. We rewarded Rowles with a 5 year deal at his peak and he's never got anywhere near it since. We rewarded Boyce with a new deal. We rewarded Halkett with new deals. I won't be surprised if we offer Craig Gordon a new deal at 42 years old or whatever it is. If anybody chaps the door and says we'll give you money for Kairos, we should accept it and say, yep, thank you. He needs to be moved on with a whole host of players that need to be moved on because we've seen enough of this stuff. They go in cycles. That's what inconsistent players do. Alan Forrest is good for 2 games, rubbish for 6. Good for 2 games, rubbish for 6. Vargas is rubbish for 6, good for 45 minutes. We know we've seen this with these players. There comes a point where the sentimentality at the football club, it has to be binned. We've got to be ruthless. We've got to sell the players at the height of their powers. We've also got to be absolute bastards to players. I've said it before. Alex Cochrane chaps the door and says, I want to leave. Hearts go, all right, cool, we'll accept the first bid that comes across our table. And we sell our most promising player or the last 2, 3 seasons for £1.3 million to a club that were buying players for 10, 13, £14 million in the transfer window. We've got to say, okay, cool, we'll sell you for this value. This is what we want. You and your agent go and bring somebody to the table that'll pay that money for you, or knuckle down because you'll stay till we've got our value for money out of you or whatever. So we need to be ruthless. And if someone wants to buy Frankie Kent, Kairos, Lawrence Shanklin, Benny, whoever, sell them. Sell them. Like cash in on them now. We know what we get out of them, and we know that for as much as they can peak, they go to their lows are just as inconsistently bad as their highs are consistently good. So I would sell them, Kev, is where
Ah,
I'm at.
I've got no issue with selling them. It's just the fact that we've got to make sure that we bring somebody in to fill that gap.
I
Well,
think January is going to be quite interesting on it in terms of
It's
targets,
huge.
how many bodies we
well,
get in.
and the good thing is that I think Critchley already will know that players going out is more important than players coming in. I've said that. I said it in pre-season that this bloated squad, 2 players for each position, it does nothing but dilute the quality. It stagnates the progression line into the team because if you're a right back and all you're competing against is another right back, cool. That means that when you come on, you've got something to go for. If you get the opportunity, you've got to try and hold on to it. But if the right back can be a left back, if the right back can be a right centre half, if the right back can be a midfielder, what's the point? What's the point? Because do you know what I mean? They'll move me in a position and they'll play me somewhere else. So they've got nothing to latch on to be like that's what we're doing. And the good thing about Critchley is he's consistently kept the sort of core squad of players that he wants, and I imagine that loads of them will be asked or told to find new clubs. And the players on that list, they will be some of our best players, some of our like players that we like, but that's just we have to be ruthless now. We've got to be a football team. We've lost it. We just are soft as shit for boardroom to pitch, and it needs to change. It needs
Yep.
to change. Well, talking of soft as shit, we might as well talk about the football because we've danced about it for 40 minutes now. Uh, will we talk about Copenhagen first? Because actually, it's quite
Yep.
easy to digest Copenhagen. What was your thoughts on the game?
They were a sort of class above from what we've seen in the rest of the competition. But what was most disappointing was we just seemed to get the basics wrong. We couldn't pass a ball. Our press wasn't where it was against your Heidenheim or even for parts in other games against like that Omonia. It was just we kind of just there seemed to be that we were scared of the occasion for me. That's kind of what I felt was the case. But and then if they had a better strike force, that could have been 5 or 6 to be honest. And yeah, Craig Gordon obviously kept us in it as well.
Aye. Kev?
Yeah, fairly accurate assessment of the game itself. I do think we showed them a lot of respect. I think there was a number of, I think the first 5-10 minutes we did look like we wanted to compete with them. But I think when individual battles were lost, I think you found a number of players fall into their shell, not show for passes, not show for little triangles, things like that. And that sort of just meant that then people were getting, or players were getting a little bit more. They were hiding, is how I felt. But as Tam said, I mean, they were a definite step up from any of the teams that we've played so far in this, even Heidenheim. And there's a couple of players that I don't even think they really even played that would be in their normal first 11, if you know what I mean. But the even little cameo appearances that they had towards the end of the game, you could just see things like first touch, movement off the ball, even movement on the ball when a little drop of a shoulder, and before you know it, Cammy Devlin's halfway down the tunnel, and the boys rolling, rolling forward. And that second goal, yeah, okay, you can argue the point that it was never a penalty, and I think the majority of even neutral football fans watching that game on Thursday night would have said that was never a penalty. But we should never have got to the position, where number it. Ogie Koki should have taken care of it if he doesn't think that Gordon's going to get there and get both hands on it. So there's a number of elements, as Tam's just said, that just doing the simple things and doing the things right just didn't fall into play.
Aye, I think there's a cut. What annoyed me is that they're everything that we're not. That's
Yeah.
the year, but I think they were fitter than us, sharper than us. They didn't do anything outrageous. Like they didn't have unbelievable players that were skinning us, and they were just better at everything, the basics, and they're everything that we're not. And that's what when I look at us play against other teams, and it's why Celtic and Rangers are so consistent and good in our league. It's nothing to do with how good they actually are. It's how good teams fear they could be, and that's what we were like on Thursday. We knew we were playing a Champions League team. We knew we were playing an intimidating stadium. We knew that if they scored early, or if we give the ball away, we're going to get punished. We knew if we pressed and didn't win the ball back and didn't press right, they'd play it round us and have opportunities to score, and we shat it. We shat it, and that's nothing. The Copenhagen are miles out our league, miles. A Champions League team playing in the Johnston Paint Trophy. I've already said that, but the basic stuff is just it's everything that we know domestically or in cup competitions against lesser teams. We needed a 92nd minute winner against Spartans to knock them out. We beat a Falkirk in the cup. That fear factor when teams come to play us, we just don't have that. We don't have that, and that was the thing that was an eye opener for me uh, on Thursday. The stadium too. That's what a European football stadium is supposed to look like on a European match day. The crowd was intimidating. They were engaged. They were involved. Obviously, they've got the impressive 8,000 fans behind the goal in their ultra section or singing section, whatever you want to call it. And I'll mirror that to Thursday when we play Petro Club on Thursday night. It's not even sold out. First chance in what, however many years since the Craig Levein took us to the group stages of European football that we've qualified for like the next knockout rounds of anything, and we're not even going to get a sell it for what will be the biggest game in the club's recent history. Yeah, it's against a non-attractive team, but we have a genuine opportunity to progress into the next rounds of a European competition, and we won't even sell it. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? There'll be empty seats.
We have to
and the
win it as
thing
well. That's it.
we do, and the thing is, right? If you go back to the Ammonia game, folk were moaning because it was a 5:45 kickoff. I can't get away from my work. Now I've seen some people saying that because it's 8 o'clock, it's too late. Fuck's sake, make a bloody decision. Do you know what I mean?
I know
Either it's
it's
too
shite.
early or it's too late. Piss off.
It's
Just go to
shite,
the
Kev.
game.
It's
Fucking
shite.
man up. It's the following day on a Friday. You didn't do any work anyway.
It's week
Shit,
before
mate.
Christmas as well. It's not like you're doing any work
Fucking
now
right.
anyway, are you?
Well, they also said, I think, at the AGM, actually, they said, what, 5,000 season ticket holders never showed up to the Celtic game. 3,000 never showed up to Aberdeen. Like, again, that in Europe, folk get annoyed about listening to it, right? Rangers are phenomenal in Europe. They punch well above their weight. They win 4-1 at Nice in France or whatever.
Yep.
Got a 1-1 draw with Tottenham, should have beat them. They punch well above their weight in Europe. And again, they are a team that people fear playing against. I think they're like 28th or something in UEFA coefficient rankings for European football. It's a joke how good they are. They've been unreal the last however many seasons in Europe. And one of the reasons they are so good is because Ibrox is absolutely rocking on a Thursday night. Fans engaged in then displays, constant tifos for whenever they've got games. Everybody sings, everybody gets involved. Again, Mirror, watch the Rangers opening 5 minutes of the Rangers Tottenham game. Listen to Ibrox. We'll look at the displays, look at pre-game, then watch our game on Thursday. We'll walk out to a twirly and Hey Jude, na na na, for a couple of minutes. They'll get the European song, the Heart song, and then we'll sit in silence. We'll sit in silence, moaning that the game isn't, we're no 1-0 up after 5 minutes. It'll be toxic on Thursday. And again, we've got to, if we want to be a side that's there every year, we have to stop acting like we're football tourists and we're just happy to be there. We have to break that cycle. So that is what annoyed me about the Copenhagen game. Was getting beat was fine. I can accept that. To be honest with you, we've had a dodgy penalty and a few near misses here or there or whatever. We actually held our own. All right, we weren't imposing ourselves in the game whatsoever. It was a training match for Copenhagen, and we were never going to get a victory there or whatever. But we were there or thereabouts. It wasn't that bad a result considering what it could have been. But it was like you said, it was watching a side that are well coached, clearly fit, have a game plan, know how to do it. Like you said, they dropped pretty much all of their best players, and all of the people that came in stepped up to the plate. Mirror that to Sunday that we've just seen versus Kilmarnock. Our top goal scorer for the last 3 seasons is out. Players injured, and look at the players that we brought in and look at the performance that we had. Mirror that. Like I said, Copenhagen were everything that we are right now. And it's not about the money. It's not about any of that stuff. It's just the basics. They just did the basics of what football's all about better than we've done. So I wasn't spitting mad about Copenhagen. I said that that stuff happened. Actually, if anybody wants to be angry, we should have beat Bruges. We shouldn't be losing to that Bruges side. I don't know why we sort of egged it as if they were like the big one of the big teams in the competition. We're a bigger team than them. They got a scalp taking us 100%. That's the game that will stick in my throat as a really disappointing day out. Uh, but again, we go into the last game in Europe with it in our hands. So if you'd told us that this would be the case at the start, we'd have been absolutely buzzing. So
Yep.
nothing really, no harm done. But that moves us on to why I'm not spitting mad is because I'd said that the next 5 games essentially are what will make or break our season. And that was Kilmarnock away and a 6-pointer against somebody that was there or thereabouts at the bottom of the table. It gave us an opportunity to win, take us up to 8th, put Kilmarnock in the mire, given that after Kilmarnock we've now got 3 home games and then our next away game is an away day against the worst team currently in the league that isn't us. Kev, losing on Sunday now means that these next 4 games, for me, he has to win every single one of them.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. My concern is I don't see light at the end of the tunnel, if I'm being truthfully honest with you. I don't see where, okay, yes, we should beat Petrocub on Thursday night, given performances that we've seen over the last 6 weeks, though. I'm not filled with confidence about it. Let's put it that way. Similarly, you go into the game against, with not a great result on Thursday night. You go into a game against St Johnstone, who are scoring goals. By all accounts, I think believe they're playing half decent football. That's another worry because we don't have any drive, we don't have any creativity at this moment in time, and all in all, I am concerned.
They've won about 1 game in 6, St Johnstone, and here comes Hearts to give them a wee favour again.
That's just the way it is, It's It's disappointing. As I said, off recording was, where does the creativity come from? Says
Kev,
to me,
Matt, you're right, but the biggest concern for me, we cannot defend. We concede goals every second. If you don't score but don't concede, the worst you can get is a point. When you can't score and can't keep clean sheets, you get nothing, and that's where we're at.
and it's strange, right? Because the only thing that's, you look at last season, we were all right. We defended pretty well. We were better set up for free kicks and corners and everything else. I think you said it in the group chat. We conceded very few goals from set pieces last season.
None,
This
zero.
season, it seems to be everything.
We
So what's changed?
gave away 42 goals in total last season. We're already on 26.
Yeah.
Where is it? Is it because we've said that Penn Rice is in a left back doesn't really feel that you've lost or you're missing Cochrane? So is it and then in the right back position where we've no got Natty Atkinson, although he never played for majority of the second half of the season. We've lost Toby Sibic. Is that the big key that's been changed? Where is it? Just the fact that Kent's went, do you know what? I don't fancy it any longer.
One big
It's just
change. There's one big change. Corbett mentioned it earlier. I can't remember if that was recorded or not, but yeah.
that could be it.
Well, I've said that the thing I like about Critchley is that if he's picking Craig Gordon because Craig Gordon's performing, then fine. I could understand the argument about drop Shanklin because he's not scoring. I can get the argument drop Kent because he's not keeping clean sheets. I get all it. But first and foremost, we have to address how many goals we concede, and we don't seem to be doing anything about it. Now, folk will say Craig Gordon made 2 or 3 saves yesterday that kept the score respectable. There's absolutely no denying that Craig Gordon's an unbelievable shot stopper. He made an unbelievable saves in Copenhagen as well. But there is one change at the back for Hearts. Xander Clark played the majority of last season. At points had the highest clean sheets in the league, right up until I said the Spartans game in the Cup, where we started to rotate Gordon and Clark, and neither of them have looked like they've benefited from that rotation. Now Clark is completely and utterly frozen out. Gordon's getting all the games, whereas Gordon got the cup games last year while Clark played in the league. Now Clark's completely on the bench. Heart Standard shared the stats. Xander Clark keeps more clean sheets, makes more saves. Hearts win more points. Hearts win more games. And Xander Clark's the goalkeeper. And now none of we didn't concede yesterday because it was Craig Gordon's fault. We didn't concede on Thursday because it was Craig Gordon's fault. So I get the argument. I understand. I'm not saying that Xander Clark comes in and he's suddenly the best keeper in the league or whatever. But you look at last season, like I said, defensively, Rowles, Kent, Atkinson, Cochrane, or Sibic, or Kingsley, or whoever was playing in the back with Xander Clark there in goals. We won more games, kept more clean sheets, didn't concede from set plays. We looked a better outfit than we do now. I look back to the famous where I said I shouted at Section G, Gordon, you're useless game. And I was against that was Fiorentina or Istanbul and was like, God, I was kidding. This is the same season that we're having as what we had then. We concede the same goal. We concede from the minute I sat my arse down in the Gorgie to watch us play Leyton Orient, and they looked like they were going to score from every single ball into the box. I was like, I even said it in the group chat, and you all slaughtered me. This is going to be one of those seasons where we went all last season not conceding from set plays. We are now going to concede every set play because that's what it looks like. And we just, whatever it is, whether it's they don't think that Gordon's quick enough off his line, which we've seen a couple of times this season. We've seen it at Kilmarnock at home, where he comes not quick enough and had to get bailed out. If it's that he's not confident with having the ball in his feet, and everything that we try to do with Critchley is rotating the ball, not having cheap turnovers, not giving the ball away. Craig Gordon's distribution is horrendous. His kicking is awful. So he also won't play sweeper keeper because it's not in his game. So I I'm not saying that Gordon's to blame for everything. We're an absolute shambles. Frankie Kent has looked a shadow of himself, and actually, on being out injured could be a blessing in disguise for the rest of the team because I think it speaks volumes that Halkett has come back and instantly looks like the best centre half at the club again, having no played for nearly 2 seasons consistently. So there is something at the back that's not right. And I said on kickback that when you judge Critchley on Copenhagen and actually the Kilmarnock game on that pitch, you're playing against Derek McInnes, a good manager, travel, all that stuff. I wouldn't be too losing to Kilmarnock or drawing with Kilmarnock, and that's no them going down to 10 men in 6 minutes and the performance that we've seen on Sunday. I'm not excusing that. We'll come on to that. Wouldn't have been a bad result given I wasn't bothered about that result. It's the next three that matter because we're staring down the barrel of Stendhal Mark II. People can laugh or joke all they want. It's the exact same. We pick up points, we scud Hibs under Daniel Stendhal, and Hamilton go to Ibrox and win and pick up points. That's where we're at now. Everybody laughing at Hibs. I think Hibs have scored 3 goals in the last 4 games, like 3 of their last 4 games. They got beat 3-0 by Celtic, missed hundreds of chances, scored 3 at the weekend, scored 3 at Motherwell, and scored 3 at home to whoever else they were playing the last time.
Was
So
it
they're scoring
Aberdeen in the
they're
loss?
scoring they're scoring goals. Kilmarnock have beat us and put themselves what were they now 4 points in front of us? Uh,
Yeah.
they were at St Johnstone are the next team to play us in the league, who are also there or thereabouts at the bottom of the league. This is carbon copy stuff of what we've seen under Daniel Stendhal. And again, not to do this guy, the last time Hibs beat us at Tynecastle, 2020 on Boxing Day.
We'll
Daniel
bleep that
Stendhal
out.
was the manager. We play Hibs on Boxing Day. Like it is a carbon copy of that season. And these next 3 games are the games that have to change my mind that we are not going to be relegated, that we are not staring down the barrel of Daniel Stendhal Mark II. We've got a manager that we like, playing a style that we all agree with and want to see, but we don't have the players to do it, and we are not picking up any single points. So we've got to try and address that as much as we possibly can.
Spot on. It's quite scary when you put it like that, but we are. I've tried to reject it for long enough, but we're absolutely in a relegation fight now.
I actually think we're on a worse points tally now than we were under Daniel Stendhal in that season. I think we're actually worse off than we were at that point. We are staring down the barrel massively. These next 3 games, and Petrol Club of what they got an equaliser against Real Betis that was chopped off, and they only got beat 1-0 by Real Betis. They've actually played, I think their first game they got scudded, but they've actually done all right in the rest of the games. They're not going to be anywhere near the pushover that people think they're going to be.
Yep.
So that's a huge worry.
To be
'Cause
honest, I even put the 4 games. Like you've got all the teams are in this in the league because you've
Yeah.
got St Johnstone, Hibs, Ross County, and then the European game, which is going to be, as you say, the biggest game in years. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, the Ross County game again as well. That's going to be a difficult one because it's bang square in the middle of the Christmas period. You know, it's up in Dingwall.
They're a different side at home than they're fucking away.
But you've got to this. We've got Hearts have to. How many times? What I long for from Hearts is to go into away games where we're no like, oh, we've no won there in 30 years, and we're no this, and we're not. I just want Hearts to know that when I've got to watch them, that win, lose or draw, I'm going to get the most out of all the players. We're going to get a performance where they leave everything on the park, and we don't see what we saw on Sunday, which was the worst performance of the season by an absolute country mile. Was an absolute disgrace, uh, because that's the team will go down. The team will go down. I think I said on the podcast, one of the solo ones, is that I think Bruges killed us. I said that. It was one of those games that everything had been, we'd had performances, but no points, but everybody was pretty much happy on the same page that there was maybe shoots of recovery there. You could see what we were trying to do. We'd just played Celtic and Rangers, Heidenheim. We'd played a runny playing against decent teams. We're now on this bit where we're playing against the lesser teams in Europe and we're playing against teams in the league that we should be able to beat. And we shat the bed with Bruges in the manner, Shankland missing the penalty, losing 2-0, the anger in the stands, the deflation of the side, the anger that the fans shown to the side. I said, I think this is going to kill us. I think this will kill the season. And I'm yet to be convinced that it's no, that wasn't the turning point, that the confidence is at rock bottom. And Sunday just cemented that for me. So we might as well talk about Sunday.
Go for it.
No, there's only one word to say about Sunday. It was a disgrace, pure and
Absolutely.
simple. It was it was an absolute disgrace. There isn't a player on that park that could hold their hand up high. They were shambolic. It was pathetic. If anybody wants to hear it more eloquently put or read it more eloquently put, I would suggest that you read Joel Skid's Heart Standard article because it absolutely hits the nail on the head of just how abysmal Sunday was. We were played against 10 men for 90 minutes. I think when you add on all the added on time and what we played or whatever, we played against a team with 10 men for 90 minutes. A team that had more shots on target than us, had a better expected goal, XG, whatever it is, than what we did. And we genuinely were one of the worst, most pathetic reactions to playing against 10 men that I've probably seen for a long, long time.
We looked at the team that were playing against 10 men for the majority of that game. Kelly looked like they had an extra man. They had extra energy. They had better chances. They had better. Gordon had to make saves, as we already touched on. I can't even think of an actual good chance except Dan does shot at near the end of the game that hits the bar, or Hal gets one earlier in the game. But I can't really think of them making an actual save. It's just there's not a single positive you can take for that game, and disgrace sums it up pretty well.
Right, we hit the bar, Kev, didn't we, for a corner? But and I think Musa missed a sitter in the opening 5 minutes or whatever. But other than that,
The closest we came to scoring yesterday was when their defender got a toe on a chance for. I'm going to say it was for Vargas. That was about the closest we got, and that says a lot. There
yep.
was no width yesterday. There was no pace. Fully understand. We've called it out before that playing on that surface is not. It's not an easy surface to play on, right? Ball bounces differently. There's the ball rolls away, runs away for you. All these kind of things. That's perfectly fine. That comes into it. Of course it does. But the lack of want, the lack of real trying. We've always said it. Give us everything you've got, and we will happily stand and clap you off the park. And as you rightly say, not one player in that park yesterday. Not maybe even one player on that bench yesterday, whether they came on or they didn't come on, can actually even hold their head up high because it wasn't good enough.
Shite bags.
Talk about Derek McInnes being a good manager and whatnot as well. And you seen it as soon as they went one player down, they took off their young, exciting player they were all excited to play against, brought in a centre half. Didn't let the emotion get to the game. We let the emotion get to our game. He doubled up on James Penrice, where we've had all our success in the last however many games. Blair Spittle was doubled up on so much so that he had to be subbed off. It was just, we just battered in every single way.
A manager that knows the league,
Yep.
knows how to piss with the cock that he's got. Said it but critically, and it's where we're at now. We have to address that it's not working. It's not it's working in fits and starts. It's not good enough. We don't have time. We don't have time. We need to win. We need to win. We now have to win 2 games and hope that Kilmarnock don't win any to leapfrog them in the league. That's not really acceptable. Where we're at. Same with Hibs now. We're hoping that we can beat teams and they don't win matches for us to be able to get above them. Folk were talking about going to eighth and we're only X amount of points behind fourth, etc. We're now at a point now where I couldn't care less who was above 10th because that's what we're looking at. We're looking at having to win back-to-back matches, which we're not done. Critchley hasn't done. Uh, and that has to be Thursday. It has to be Sunday and it has to be Boxing Day. He's got to go on a run of winning matches or people will chase him out the building. I've I've said it for the start that he won't get hundreds and hundreds of time. People are sympathetic to the mess that he's inherited. We can all see that they're unfit, that they're total and utter shite bags, like Kev just said. Not one of them wants the ball. Not one of them wanted the ball on Sunday. And when they got the ball, they wanted rid of it as quickly as they possibly could because nobody wants to take responsibility for what they see on the park. The people shouting Shankland get to fuck that Sunday. Look at what we're like without Lawrence Shankland. People complain because he's no scoring goals, blinded by his rage that he's a Rangers fan, and that's all it is that they hate him because he wants to go to Rangers or whatever it is that's driving it. Blinded to see how good he is at hold up play, how good he is at linking play, how good he is at bringing other players into positions, how good he is at taking defenders out of positions. Watch Sunday. That's what Hearts are without Lauren Shankland.
And that's
That
and that's one of my biggest bugbears about Vargas. Vargas has played with Shankland for a season and a bit and not learned anything. Nothing.
yep.
And we go
It's
back, we've said this before about, we said about Nielsen. Who did Nielsen bring on and improve? Probably nobody.
yep.
Well, it was the same under Naismith, let's be truthfully honest. He never improved Shankland. Okay, Shankland scored 30 something goals back to back seasons. Right, great. I don't put that credit on Naismith at all. Naismith, in my opinion, I don't think Naismith actually improved anybody neither. And I genuinely am not seeing anything from Critchley. And I know, yeah, the fact of midweek football and everything else, he's not really had that opportunity to instill a form of training and what he looks for and what he wants. And he doesn't have the players fit enough to be able to play the game of football he wants. But I am now starting to question whether he can get anything out of these particular players.
Well, I think I can see what he's trying to do. Right? I can see it. I think that in fits and starts, we've looked like we've improved. And obviously, folk will say, oh, we've improved our points tally, but we had 1 point when he was appointed or whatever it was. Like, it's no difficult to be where it is. And people now downplaying what Naismith achieved last year. I think it's the highest third points total, or the second highest points total that any club's ever had in third. I think from November until February, Hearts, Celtic, and Rangers were all in the same points. We'd won the same amount of games. We went toe to toe with Celtic and Rangers until we, again, like we always said, the curse of playing in the top six. We can't win matches in it. People downplay that. Yes, Shankland's goals contributed to that massively, but like I said, Shankland wasn't keeping clean sheets, wasn't no conceding for set plays. The team did enough as well, and Shankland obviously scored hundreds of goals. And Shankland's goal tally was he could take half chances and all that. Absolutely take all of that argument, but people pretending that Stephen Naismith didn't achieve something at Hearts last season. Stephen Naismith isn't in the dugout now because pre-season was a mess. He arranged it. It was his brainchild to have the warm weather training. He couldn't get teams to come and play us. We never played enough teams. We were playing different formations and different games at different times. And again, somebody at the club signed off selling Tagawa and not bringing in a striker because Liam Boyce was back fit. So they're the mistakes that cost Stephen Naismith the job. Now we are reaping the rewards of that unpreparedness in pre-season because the players aren't fit. That's the number one thing of all of this. That's what's driving all of it. They're not mentally fit, they're not strategically fit, and they're not actual fit. They are not fit enough to play 90 minutes of football, and they make mistakes or they go into protecting mode and they go back to the side-to-side passing, keeping the ball, get their stats up, and do absolutely fucking nothing with it.
With it.
And like you said, an experienced man like Derek McInnes, he says, mate, we're down to 10 men, have the ball. Have the ball. Play in
I
front
mean,
of us because you're going nowhere.
I can see what Critchell's wanting to do. I do get that, but as you've
Couldn't
rightly
say
said,
yes to the Kev though, could you? Really?
no, you couldn't. But there's a number of factors in regards to yesterday's football, and we've already spoken about it. I can see what he's wanting to do. I can see what the kind of gameplay he wants to have. I don't think he's got the players that can play that for the reasons that Corbett's just said. But also the fact is that can you play that particular type of football in the Scottish game? That's another question that will come into that.
You absolutely can. I don't. I think that's probably pretty backwards to say. Not against you because it comes out all the time, but you absolutely can. But not with the current squad or level of
No,
attitude,
you need.
fitness we have at the moment.
Aye, that's the problem. It's Celtic play that type of football all the time, but that's because they're well coached and well drilled and they're fit as anything. We can't play that right now because we're not fit. So I think Kev's point is valid, is that how far down the road do we go? We can continuing with what we know doesn't work or won't work. He has to make a decision. He has to say 4-5-1, fucking get a draw, get a point, get something to build confidence, to stop shipping goals, to let people have a breather, to build some momentum of positivity around something, a clean sheet, a 1-0 win, something plucky that changes the tide of the season, because we're not carrying any luck. This is what happens with Hearts. We go in waves. We have a season where we get all the luck. We have a season where we get no luck. Last season, we got loads of penalties. Shanklin was missing them for fun. This season, I think we've had one, and it was
Zero.
Well, against
well,
Bruges,
Bruges away, but
Aye.
none in the league. Do you know what I mean? Like, but we're conceding penalties.
and you create your own luck.
Exactly, mate. You create your own luck, and that's where we're at now. I think I'd say I think what is Anfield, Barcacara, maybe. Was that the last time we ever had a draw in Europe? We either get scudded or we win. There's no in between. I think the last draw was Barcacara away, wasn't it?
Cara,
Was
yeah,
it no 0-0 and Robbie Nielsen tell us it was a fantastic point
against the Fishermen.
against the Fishermen that knocked us out and beat us 3-1 at Tynecastle or whatever it was.
Thursday night could be similar though, so fucking.
So,
Thanks,
like,
Dan.
we just, that's that bit that we need. And I said it before, I get it. I understand the argument that with the new system, with Jamestown, with the analytics approach, with the structure of the club, Derek McInnes might never have worked in that environment. That's maybe true. But Derek McInnes, we wouldn't be bottom of the league if Derek McInnes had come in and we appointed him, because he knows what the team needs. He knows to shut up shop. He knows to make us be hard to beat, because if you can't be beat, then you don't drop points. Do you know what I mean? And we would have slowly climbed our way out of the table, up the table, or whatever it is.
The other thing
There's
about
nothing.
that,
Oh, sorry, Kev.
I was going to say, the other thing about that is nobody at the club would have even asked him the question: "Is could he work with Jamestown?"
No.
I don't think. I don't think the club have even approached him to say, "Would you be able
No, they
to
haven't.
work under these?" So
They
that's that particular argument, and I agree with the detail there. Never ever came into it, unfortunately.
And it's not like, I know I'm happy with Neil Critchley. I am. I put, like I said, I can see what he's trying to do, but it's not what we needed, and it still probably turn out to be not what we needed, because I said before, he's not going to get a pre-season. That's what's needed, and they need a pre-season to drill in. This is the shape. This is what we do. These are the movements. These are the patterns. If you're not playing, you play. This is what we expect from you. You have to be fit, 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 fit. That needs a pre-season. He was never going to be able to fix that. We knew we were going Sunday, Thursday, light training sessions, people away in international breaks. We knew all that. We knew that that was what was happening. You can't have somebody come in that has to learn the Scottish game, learn about his team, learn what we can do, and also win every single week, because that's what has to happen at Hearts. You have to win every single week, barring maybe a couple of trips to Glasgow. So it was always going to be a huge, huge ask for Neil Critchley to pull that off. And that was always why I said, we've done all this before. We've done up and coming coach, inexperienced coach, punt coach, all that. We've done all that. We needed a tried and tested manager that knows the league and is successful in the league. And I thought that at this point in time, Derek McInnes was the guy that would have came and fixed that. That's where we're at. He's not here, so Manty had balls and all that. I get it, but Critchley has to address what isn't working and do something to change it, or we're having Friday night BBC Alba derbies next season. That's the long and short of it, because this side is on its arse. This side is on its knees. There's James Penrice is the only player currently I'd keep for next season. I'd get rid of every fucking one of them. Spittle as well. Probably it's maybe harsh on Blair Spittle. I'd keep him. The rest can go, because I've seen enough. I've seen enough. I don't trust them. I don't connect with them. I don't have any identity when I see them. They don't look like a Hearts team. They don't act like Hearts players. I've said it before. I want bastards. That's what I want. I don't want Cammy Devlin being nippy and running about and picking everybody up that he kicks and all that. I want a bastard. I want somebody that'll stud you, that'll nip you, pull you down, will kick the ball off you when you're on the ground, will kick the ball into the away crowd, wind them up. I want people that'll get in the ref's face and be aggressive and be horrible. I don't want nice guys. And I didn't see anybody in that team making a nice, like, doing anything like that. I even spoke a guy that's working in my house had said about the situation on Sunday where we gave the ball away up the park and it broke down and Gordon managed to run out and collect the ball. Never screamed at anybody. Never screamed at them giving the ball away. The shape being wrong, being too soft, nothing. Not a single person. None of the defenders screaming at the person that gave the ball away or whatever. We're just no nasty. And it's top to bottom. The club is the same. We're soft as shite at boardroom, we're soft as shite on the park. You are a product of your environment. We just don't have any bastards at the football club. And it's what's needed. That bastards get you to this situation. Nice guys get you relegated. And that is where we're heading, plain and simple.
Obviously, Critchley talked at the end of the game and said they were having a conversation in the dressing room and all that. Who's the leaders in that dressing room that are putting somebody against the wall and saying, you're shite, you're shite, you're shite? There's nobody, is there?
It doesn't matter, Cam. Like you said, I just spoke about it, about this squad is the majority of the squad that was there under Robbie Nielsen.
100%.
They were there.
Well, you've just highlighted
that
it. The two best players that you would keep on
exactly.
are ones that have just come in, and they've came for other Scottish teams that know the game, know what it takes.
They're not interested. And again, that's all lip service to the fans. I liked how honest he was about, we don't need open and honest conversations. We need performances. We shouldn't take the Sunday game for it to be addressed, because we never performed to how we should against Celtic. We never performed how we should against Copenhagen. We never performed how we should against Rangers. We never got a result against Aberdeen. We were sloppy in the second half with Dundee, if we were being honest. Should have scored more goals. Shouldn't take an embarrassing 1-0 defeat away when you've got 10 men for literally 90 minutes, or playing against 10 men for literally 90 minutes. It shouldn't take it to get that bad. Where were the changes? If things were that bad and they were shocking, we have 100% record of swapping the right back. Every single game Critchley has been the manager, we have swapped the right back for a right back. Why? What would we then? We bring Forrester on in the 90th minute or whatever.
And you're chasing a goal, yeah.
What we did? It wasn't like the full-time whistle went on Sunday and we had 5 up front. We had Halkett up front, we had O'Neill, and we had Wilson, and we had Vargas, and we had like for like subs. Took some players off that were playing in
the only time
positions.
he's done that was against Hibs at Easter Road.
Yep.
He made a bold statement and it worked for him. I don't as well. I don't like this chopping and changing between the ways in which we play, different at home to different away. As you've said many times before, we set up and this is how we play, whether it's home, whether it's away. Simple as that. Because then people know how they should be playing week in, week out. If you're not performing on the Saturday, the Sunday, the Wednesday, the Thursday, whatever night of the week it is, then you're on the bench.
Yep. Ruthless. Team
Anyway.
of shite bags. Team of shite bags. So, Thursday, then we are at home to Petra Club in the last game of the Europa Conference League. We are currently on 6 points. A win would take us to 9, which pretty much guarantees we don't have to wait for results of that. If we win on Thursday, we've qualified. Pretty
Yep.
simple. So 2-0 Petra Club.
Currently
Yeah,
six
Take it
to
to the
one, I
bank.
believe.
I'm not even joking.
No,
People laugh at it. Take it
you're
to the
right.
bank. Hearts
Well,
will lose on Thursday. Hearts
we're a
will lose
lowest seeded
Thursday.
team. They've got
Yeah.
1 point. They've got nothing to play for. They'll go out, try and have their last sort of
Hurrah.
game up. Hurrah, that's the word, Kev. Hurrah, the fucking Conference League, and we'll get beat. Or we'll limp a draw.
I decided to stick a tenner on Petra Club and St Johnstone double for the next 2 games. 96 to 1. Thank you very much.
Talking about no fans going in that car, but it doesn't really make you want to go, does it? Like, just being apathetic to the team performances. I get it.
We're always in a rock and a hard place. What we took 4,000 to Bruges, 3,000 to Copenhagen. They take all that stuff for granted, and it really bugs me. It really, really bugs me. You can say all you want that we had an open and honest conversation in the changing room. Who cares a fuck? They get damages done. I've already paid for my money for the ticket, for the travel. It's not even just that. The headaches and arguments between husbands and wives because they're supposed to be at Christmas shopping, or family gatherings that people didn't go to, or work night outs that people miss. I'm missing my work night out on Thursday because I'm going to watch Hearts. It's that stuff, the sacrifice stuff, that it's not even just about money. It's about time, effort to get to these places, go on buses, sit on buses for hours to get to watch Hearts. Go on that thread on Kickback and look at some of the routes people took to get to Copenhagen just to watch Hearts. It's outrageous, and it's taken for total granted by those players that think that this is normal, that they walk out in front of 2,500 away fans every single week and give shite bag performances. Not acceptable. It's not acceptable in any way, shape, or form. And Thursday, I'll 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 eat my hat if Hearts get a positive result on Thursday. I have been here too many times with Hearts. I've been here too many times with this club. They won't go put a statement on. They won't go put a big dent in the confidence and get it skyrocketed by winning 3-4, 5-0 or whatever. It'll be fast and furious for 10 minutes. If we don't score, they'll go into their shell and we'll retreat and get hit with a sucker punch in the second half, ball into the box, and they'll score or something like that. It's exactly how it'll happen. And then Sunday will be the apathy will be there. It'll be 5,000 season tickets no showing up, and we'll put in a horrendous performance because the season's gone. is how I see it. I would cut that, paste it, whatever it want. If we go win the next 4 games, get it right up, mate. I hope I'm wrong. I genuinely do. I take no joy in sitting here saying these things, but the writing's on the wall for this team. We would have seen a reaction by now if we were ever going to see a reaction or an upturn in performances. We've seen nothing, and I don't see that changing on Thursday or Sunday. Oh well, that was a nice cheery note to end it, wasn't it?
Yep, thanks. Night,
Aye.
folks.
Was it? Right, let's do our predictions then for Thursday, and then we'll end it. Just the podcast, no life. We'll stick about for a few years now. What you
Not
saying,
how many
Tam?
years I've got left, mate.
Yeah, that's true. What you saying, Tam?
Just Thursday or both?
Say Thursday first.
No.
Kev,
1 each.
2-0, Petra Club. They'll score a plucky goal and
27th minute.
suck the life out of everything, and then they'll get another one as we
That's just on the
try
break.
to chase the game later or something like that. It'll be something daft like that.
Definitely see it. No.
Yep, you see it that way. Okay, cool. Well, don't know if that's made me happy, sad, or even
Shall I
more
predict
angry,
Sunday?
even more than I actually was. Nah, I didn't care about Sunday.
Fair.
Didn't care about Sunday. I'm already looking forward to the Freds because Mackenzie Kirk will score. I'll be, we should never have got rid of him. Just because his fucking dad's shagging Levine, we should have him up front for us or whatever it is. So I'm looking forward to that. Right. See you later.
See ya.
See you later, guys.
Corgi rules.